All right, so the previous session we had that was for the basic architecture of CyberArk. We discussed about the workflow within CyberArk, the different components of CyberArk, their functionalities. Okay, that's what we did. From today's session, what we are going to do is we have the first component as your vault. We'll be starting with a detailed discussion on vault, the detailed theory on it. Okay, and once this theory gets completed, then we move forward and we install the vault. Okay, so starting with it, we start with the vault theory. Okay, now as we discussed in the previous session as well, the first thing that you have to know about a vault is it is a repository for all privileged accounts, for all of your policies, for all of your logs, full of all of your recordings, or all of your configurational files. Okay, so whatever you have, everything it's getting stored on the vault itself. Accounts, policies, logs, recordings, configurational files, user details, the safes, each and everything. It's the storage system, it's the repository. So things get stored over here. Okay, and this is the first thing you should know about a vault. The second thing that you should know about it is because this is a repository, because it is storing a lot of data. That is why the vault also needs a database for itself. Okay, and for the database, the vault uses MySQL database. Okay, vault uses a customized version of MySQL database. Okay, now let's say you are the administrator and you are there for the implementation of CyberArk. Okay. For implementation, yes, you would need a set of files, but you don't need anything for the database. Okay, like you don't have to do any separate installation of the database on the vault. Why? Because this database is something that will be coming along with your setup. You install your vault, the database gets installed with it. Nothing additional has to be done. No additional installation, no additional maintenance, no management. Okay, but because we are learning things, so you should know that Vault is using this MySQL database for its storage. Okay, so installed and managed by the Vault internally. You don't do anything for this. The next thing that you should know about the Vault is Vault has to be installed on a Windows server. Okay, so when you're installing it, you need a system for it, and it should be a Windows system type. You cannot do it on any other device. You cannot install the Vault on Linux. It won't work. Installation won't start. So whenever you are doing it, this is like a prerequisite for the Vault that it needs a Windows server for its installation. And for this Windows server, the operating system version, it should be 2012 or greater than that. Okay, usually we have the latest versions itself, but 2012 is the limitation. Okay, so whenever you are getting a server, you have to make sure that this is there. Server, it's a Windows server, and operating system, it's either 2012 or greater than that. For database, you don't have to do anything. You just have to get the setup file for Vault, and as soon as you install your Vault, database as well gets installed. Okay. The next thing that you have for this Vault is we discussed in the previous session is Vault is the repository, and because it is the repository, there is a lot of details getting stored there. Okay, everything you have, your accounts, there can be thousands of accounts, your logs, your policies, your recordings, the files, configurational files, everything that gets stored within the Vault. Correct? Now, if the users they directly work with the Vault, they directly interact with the Vault, then what will happen? Your data will be exposed. Your data can be compromised. Correct? If the users they interact with the Vault directly, then in that case you will be exposing your data. And that is why we have that PVWA concept. And for the users access, they log into the PVWA. Correct? And for the
PVW
Vault,
is going to be the front end. One minute, I have a question. PVW is going to be the front end and back end. It's going to be interacting with this database, right?
correct.
Okay.
Okay. That is why what is said here is access to the Vault has to be limited. Why this? Because this is the backend database. This is having everything. So you can't allow your users to access it directly. You have PVWA, components will go to the PVWA. Now it's the PVWA only that interacts with the Vault, gets the thing from there, and populates it on its UI. Okay, so users directly they are not interacting with the Vault. It's the PVWA that's doing it for them. All right. Access to the Vault has to be limited, and to limit the access, one thing that we do is we isolate the Vault server. How do we isolate? Usually, what do we do is whenever we have a server, let's say a new server, it's created on an organization's architecture. So, what do you do is you add that server to the organization's network zone, to the domain of that organization. Correct? Let's say you are working somewhere, you you are accessing some servers there. Every server that you will be accessing from there, that will be a part of the domain of your organization. Your system as well, let's say you have got a laptop from the organization. Everything that you do it from your laptop. Why? Because your laptop, it's a part of their domain network zone. If you try to access those things from your personal machine, you won't get that. Okay. So why this thing? Because everything that the organization is having, every system, every user machine, every server, it is a part of that organization's network zone. Okay. And if everything is a part of the network zone, in that case, the connections won't get any issue. users will be able to connect to the servers easily. Okay. But what happens for the vault is, for the security of this vault, it is said that it should be isolated. Isolated means it will be not placed in the same network zone. It will be placed in a different network zone, isolated from your organization's domain. Okay, so that is the thing here.
I have another question actually.
Yeah.
As you're saying that it should be out of organization network, whatever the servers or databases that are getting created in the organization will be automatically linked with the server domain, right? With the same domain name. And then how can we isolate that to a different thing? Do organization allows us doing the same?
Okay. Yes, organizations they do allow, because this is the requirement of the vault. And
Okay.
for the vault to not get joined to the domain, what do we do is we remove the protocols, the network protocols through which it can communicate with the domain. If the protocol itself is not there, in that case, the connection to the domain won't work, and the things, this vault will be isolated.
Okay.
Okay, any further questions, anyone?
Are you going to showcase us how to get this isolated as
Yes,
from the? Okay.
that is a prerequisite of this vault.
Okay.
And when we start with the installation, we do all of these things.
Super. Okay.
Yes. Anything else?
So if I want to install Vault on my laptop, is it possible because it requires a Windows 2012 server?
See, for that, you will be getting virtual servers from our side. So whatever your laptop is, you can access that virtual server and you can connect to it.
Oh, I can't install it. Okay.
Yeah. Anything else?
So so do they actually expose my SQL database so that can I run SQL queries against that, or is it not allowed?
Can you repeat it?
So you said that Vault is my SQL database. So can I
Yes.
use SQL queries to get the data?
No, like you don't really interact with it. What you have is you have a UI that's specifically there for the vault.
Mhm.
And accessing that UI, you will be accessing all of the data you have. You don't work with the database there. You don't have to be an expert on database. You're working as a CyberArk admin, so you will have to work with the Vault PVWA. That's what you have to do.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So that was the next point you have to know. Access to the vault has to be limited, and to limit the access, what do? Is we keep it isolated so that no user from your organization can access it. Okay. The next thing that we have for the is vault is advised. Okay. Vault is advised to be installed on a Windows server. Sorry, on a physical server. This is the next thing for the Vault. Whenever you are installing the Vault, it is advised that you should keep it on a physical device. Now, can anyone tell me what is a physical device and what is a
It's
virtual one?
it's an on-prem device. It's not the cloud one, is what it. the meaning. Yeah.
Okay, so any device that is physically present, like your desktop or your laptop, that's something a physical device is. Virtual devices, it will be hosted on clouds, the servers, virtual servers.
Um,
Okay,
okay.
so
When we compare with the organization level, it is on-prem devices, right?
yeah,
Okay.
so what happens here is whenever you are installing the Vault, it is said that you should do it on physical device. Why? Because having it on a physical device, it's much easy to maintain the isolation. You keep it in an isolated location. You don't allow the users to access that particular area, and you isolate that system. Network protocols will be removed. You don't add any internet connection to it. So that's how the isolation can be done. It's on physical devices. Okay. But if you see, it's just an advisory thing. Okay. Not a mandatory situation for the world. The mandatory thing here is vault has to be limited, the isolation is required. So even if you are having it on virtual machines, let's say on cloud or something, and you are maintaining the isolation and you are not allowing the users to access the vault, you can have it there as well. The thing that we want is we want to maintain isolation. Now, wherever you can do that, if you are able to do it on virtual machines, you of course can install your vault on the virtual machine. Okay. So that is the next requirement, next thing that you should know about the vault. And mostly because organizations these days they are having the things on cloud. So vault as well, it will be installed on cloud itself. Okay. The next thing that we have for the vault is any additional software or application. Okay, so what happens that any additional software or any additional application that is not required for the world's functionality, okay, that is not helping the world to function, to work, that has to be removed from the world server. Why? Because this is a very sensitive thing. This is a very important thing in the architecture, and the data within it, it has to be secured. If you are keeping a lot of additional things, let's say you installed some web applications are not required for world. You installed it, and somehow your data is getting compromised to these web application itself. Let's say you have installed an antivirus agent. Okay, you must have seen a lot of times that your system it is getting compromised with the antivirus agent itself. If this happens with the world, in that case you lose every data. So nothing is required. It has to be a plain vanilla server, nothing installed on it. Only the setup file, and then you start with the installation. Okay. So this is one more thing that you should know for the Vault for its security. Whenever you are going to install it, you will be getting a server. On the server, you will check with every single thing, every single application that you don't have anything additional. If you find anything additional, you will be removing it immediately, and then you start with the installation. Okay. The next thing here is any additional network communication. protocol. Okay. So what happens that whenever you have a machine, a server, within that server there are some protocols, some network communication protocols that allows your machine, your laptop, to connect to the outside resources. Okay. Similarly, when you get the server for Vault, there as well there will be additional protocols. Okay. But what you have to do is you have to remove everything that is additional for the Vault. Okay. Now, what is additional? Everything else is additional. There is only one protocol that we call as IPv4, Internet Protocol version 4. Only that is there, that should be kept, that should be selected, because this is there for the Vault and the components communication. Apart from that, everything else, every other communication protocol, it should be removed from the Vault server before starting the installation. Okay. So that is the next thing, like, basically the last requirement that we have for the Vault. Okay. Whenever you are starting with the installation, you have to make sure with all of these points whether they are verified or not. You have to make sure that you are doing it on a Windows server. You have to make sure that it's isolated, it's not connected to the domain. You have to make sure that nothing additional, no software, no application, no network communication protocol is there on the Vault. If it is there, you first remove it and then you start with your installation. Is that clear?
It's clear. I have a question actually. Uh, when we are using the MySQL, right? So when in that it's a so CyberArk is going to be get implemented in the organization newly, okay? Where there are 30,000 users. Think in a way that where 30,000 users are logging in at the same time. Do we have any impact on the SQL server having so much load on that? Will that get stop or something like that? Are there any cases of that type?
Okay, yes. Like what happens is that we do have limitations for the number of users logging into this CyberArk. Okay.
Okay,
And depending on your organization, let's say you are working in large scale and there you get thousands of users logging in parallelly. In that
okay,
case, you plan the architecture accordingly.
okay. There should be
Okay.
some load balancer kit, something like that. Okay,
Correct. Correct. Right now, what do we have is we have the PWA, that is for your users to interact.
correct.
So when you have less users, you can one PWA can manage it. When you have, let's say, some thousand users, 100,000, in that case, you will need multiple PWAs, and the PWA would be load balanced, and load balancer would be managing the load, sending the connection to different servers, and that is how the things will work.
Okay.
Yes.
Because the thing is that we do not have any idea on MySQL database, so that's where the confusion arises. Huh? So do we
Y-
need to have an idea on how this database works and how
Yeah, I
basic idea is required, right?
can you repeat that? Your last line was not
No,
clear.
I mean to say, as we do not have any idea on SQL database and the architecture of that actually, is there any chance that we need to have an idea on database on how it works?
You don't have to be an expert on CyberArk or database. Okay, you just have to know that how CyberArk works, you never get to know about this database there, you never interact with it. Don't worry about it that you'll have to work with it and then you have to store the things there and then you have to manage the connections.
Okay,
Everything it will be managed from the PBWS end. Even if let's say there are some tasks that has to be done from the vault, there is a separate UI for the vault and you do the things from there. For database you don't do anything. It's something that the vault does automatically. It maintains it, it manages it, it installs it. You don't do anything for that.
we got it.
Yes. Okay, so that's what we have here, like some of the points about the vault. We have just started. Vault is a very important thing, a very important component within CyberArk. So the next topic that we have within this vault theory itself, it's the communication within CyberArk. So till now, we know that for the security of this vault, we keep it isolated. Correct? We keep it in a different network zone. We don't allow any protocol here. Every connection will be stopped. But in the previous session, what we discussed is okay, Vault is there. The users don't interact with it, but the components you have, PVWA to retrieve the things, it needs to communicate with the Vault. CPM to change the password, it needs to communicate with the Vault. PSM to store the recordings and to send the connection to the target machine for the connection details. It needs to connect with the vault. So if the vault is isolated, then how this connection will work? That's something we are going to understand here. Okay. For this, the first thing we assume is let's say we have a vault here. Okay. This is your vault. Now, this vault, it is isolated. This is kept within a firewall. Can anyone tell me what a firewall is? Anyone here? What is a firewall?
Firewall is something which is gonna help securing the servers and its environment, not to access by someone else. In order to access the firewall, we require something called VPN. In the same way, how we access this cloud machines and all.
Yes, so basically, firewall, in simple language, if you say it's a boundary that is securing your data within it. If you have a firewall and within which only the vault is kept, in that case, any outside resource won't be able to communicate with the vault, won't be able to get into this firewall, and vault as well, it won't be able to go outside from here and communicate to any outside resource. Okay. Keen, whatever questions or whatever you want to say, you can unmute yourself and you can say that. Because what happens that when I'm typing on things and when I'm explaining things here, I miss on the chats. Right now, I saw that you have texted before as well. So just unmute yourself and say it. Okay. So we have the vault, and for the security of the vault, we have a firewall implemented here. This is not allowing the vault to communicate to any outside resource and vice versa. Now let's say we have the organization's setup. This is your organization setup. This organization is ABC, and this is your ABC's network zone, the ABC's firewall. Okay, that is what we have here. Now, within this organization's firewall, what will we have is we'll have different servers, correct? That's what we have. We'll have different servers. And we will have different users as well. Users that will be working with these servers. Okay. Everything is there within the same network zone. So users from here they can interact with the servers. No issues in that, no restrictions in that. Okay. But if a user from here, if he tries to connect to the vault, he will get restricted because we have two firewalls in between. Okay. Now, what do we have next is we have our components PVWA, CPM, and PSM. What do you think? Where should we place them? Where should we keep them? PVWA, CPM, and PSM. Where should we keep them?
Within the walls firewall.
Okay. Um, what happens that if you keep them within the walls firewall, let's say, okay, these are your components, okay? PVWA, CPM, and PSM kept here so they can communicate with the vault easily. PVWA can retrieve the things, CPM can change the passwords, work with the password, and PSM it can store the recordings. Okay, let's say this is the PVWA. This is the CPM. This is the PSM. Okay. So, okay, yes, this communication it works very fine here. But why do we have this PVWA? What does PVWA do in the architecture? It is there for the users to interact, for the users to work, correct? So let's say
Yes.
the user that are there in this ABC's firewall, they try to connect to the PVWA. Whenever they'll initiate the connection, because there is this firewall, their connection will get restricted, and then they won't be able to connect here. Okay. One solution for this will be you can create exception here and here for this particular user's connection. Using this exception, this user he will initiate his connection will go from here and he will be able to connect. Okay, this is how the connection can work. This is one of the solution. But one issue with this is this one exception that you have provided, this one firewall exception that you have created here, it is only there for this user, this particular user. If there is a different user, for him, if he wants to connect to the VVWA, a new exception has to be created. For the third user, third exception has to be created. And this is how it will go on. If you have thousands of users that have to work with the PVWA, you'll have to create thousands of exceptions on your ABC's firewall. Why? So that they can connect with the PVWA. And yes, thousands of firewall on this world's firewall as well. Okay. And having thousands of firewall here and here, it's something that's not very secure thing. Okay. Uh, if you are having a firewall, it is there for the security, and providing thousands of exceptions into that, it's not the correct way to work with it. Okay. That is why what do we do is, instead of keeping the components here on the vault's firewall, what do we do is we keep them here itself. Okay, you keep your components here itself. What happens with this, when the components are placed here, the user, without any restriction, he will be able to connect to the PVWA. Correct? Without any restriction, because both of them are in the same network zone, so they will be able to connect to the PVWA. Now it comes for the PVWA to get the detail from the vault. We have the firewalls in between, but because there is only one component, so there will be only one firewall that gets allowed, one exception that gets allowed. This one exception, it works for your entire CyberArk's communication, PVWA, CPM, PSM to the vault, using only one exception. In the previous case, we had to provide multiple exceptions for multiple users. Here, we have to work with only one. And when this exception is created, the PVWA will be able to communicate with the vault, and it will be able to retrieve the details from here. Okay, so now what we are getting is, without having multiple exceptions on your firewall, without getting any restrictions on the firewall level, users, they can easily communicate with the PVWA. And for the PVWA to communicate with the vault, there is only one exception allowed, using which the PVWA communicates with the vault and retrieves the things. Okay, and that is why I said here that only one protocol is required. It's IPv4. So that IPv4 is required for this connection.
Does it work on secure layer?
Yes.
Okay.
So that is the thing. Components, whatever they want to do, PVWA retrieves the thing with this exception. CPM manages the password with this exception. PSM, it stores the recording logs with this exception. So now everything, it comes back to place, and without any issues, you'll be having the things with you. Okay. Any questions, anyone here? And basically, because this is a specific exception, so we have a specific port number for this. The port that is used for this communication is something we call as port number 1858. Port 1858, it will be allowed from the components end and from the vault's end as well. The port that is used for CyberArk's communication, vault to the components.
What is a protocol? You said the IPv4, but what is the protocol on top of that? Is it like a TLS.
Should be unidirectional.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, Sharan,
Uh,
did you say anything?
is it something unidirectional or
No,
TCP
bidirectional.
bidirectional?
Yeah. Okay, and for the protocol, like it is a protocol that allows the connection to get established. And for the port, because it's an exception, you are creating exceptions on the firewall. So through this port number, the communication will work.
Is it possible to change the port number?
No,
Okay. Hard coded. Okay.
no, not hard coded. Basically, for CyberArk, this is the only port that is used for its communication.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's say you are allowing a port for Windows Server. For Windows Server, we have the port 389. So that is a fixed port number. Whenever you have to allow an exception for a Windows connection for a Windows server, in that case, 389 is what you provide. If you have to provide it for Unix, it's 22. So these are the fixed ports that you get within CyberArk. Similarly, for the CyberArk's communication, 1858 is the fixed port that will be used for this communication.
Okay. Can each of the component can have multiple instances for failover purpose?
Yes, you can have it.
Okay.
For the components, usually we have multiple components itself, like multiple instances on which PVWAs will be installed, CPMs will be installed. You can have multiple components. And yes, basically we have them for load balancing situation, but even if let's say one of your component is down, your other components will be managing it. Okay. Any further questions, anyone?
Do we maintain anything like backup of the vault to keep it securely?
Correct. We do that. There is a thing called disaster recovery vault. This is the backup of your primary system. Let's say this is the vault. Here you're storing everything. And somehow this vault goes down, something goes wrong with it. Then what will happen? You won't have anything. PVWA does not store anything. Whatever you find here, it gets it from the vault.
Correct.
So for this situation, we keep a backup, the disaster recovery vault. Disaster recovery vault as well, it works on the same principle of vault itself. Everything,
Uh,
all of these things, it will be applied on it. It's
is that
just
going to
that
be an automated task or manual task? Taking a
automated,
backup of the.
automated
Um,
task.
do we use any tool for that to get the backup of it?
Yeah, like we have a utility to take the backup from the primary to the DR, and we do have it in the session. So
Okay.
when everything is done, like it is the last thing to do. When
Mm.
your components are installed, Vault is installed, we have done with a lot of things. Like when you are having things stored, only then you will take the backup, right? So when you are
Yeah.
done with everything, then we move to the DR and we install a new Vault, and we even check with this that if the Vault goes down, then how will it take over? Okay. So yes, the next topic that we have within this Vault story is access segregation. Now, what is it? Let's say we have three types of servers here. Okay, this is a Windows server. This is a Linux server. And this is a database server. Okay. Within all of these servers, let's say we have accounts created, privilege accounts. Here we have Windows account 1, Windows account 2, Windows account 3. Three accounts within this server. Here as well we have Linux account 1, Linux account 2, and Linux account 3. For database as well, we have database 1, database 2, and database 3. Okay, so that is what we have here. Three different servers, and on all of these three servers, we have three accounts on each of them. Let's say there are admins as well, admins to manage these servers. This is your Windows admin. This is the Linux one. Okay. Windows, Linux, and database admin. Three admins that are managing their respective servers. Right now, the organization is not having any security tools, so they are logging into the servers directly using a connection client and they are managing things. Okay. But as we know that using the accounts directly, it's something that's risky. Your passwords can be compromised. Users, don't get accountable for their actions. Correct. That is why what this organization does is, let's say it implemented CyberArk. It is your CyberArk here. Within CyberArk, what do? We onboard our accounts. Windows accounts will be here. Linux will be here. Onboarding, as I have said in the previous session as well, it's a very easy process. You just have to define the details about an account and the account gets onboarded. So all of your 9 accounts, they are onboarded here. And the users that were accessing the accounts directly, now they will be asked to get into CyberArk and use the account from here. Okay, this is going to be the process now. Let's say the Windows admin. He gets in here. When he gets in, what he'll see that because there is no segregation, everything is placed directly into the database. That is why whenever he gets in, he will be able to see each and everything here. Okay, everything is placed directly. Everything is directly onboarded to the database. So whenever this Windows admin get in, he can see the Windows account, he can see the Linux account, and he can see the database accounts as well. Okay, filtering out of the data, this can be done only when you have a segregation defined. Okay, you are segregating different accounts and then you are defining the access on different folders or something. Then the data will be filtered out. Right now, everything it's just onboarded there, it's just stored there. There is no segregation. So, how will you grant the access? Where will you grant the access? If you grant it on the entire CyberArk architecture, the users will get it on each and everything over there. If you grant it on individual accounts, it will take a lot of time. That is why one concept that we have within CyberArk, it's something we call as safes. What are safes? Safes are basically folders, and within these folders, like whatever you have, everything will be segregated within the folders itself. If you have different types of accounts, you will first create three different folders for them, and then you will be segregating the accounts into the folders. If you have logs as well, it won't get to the vault and it won't get stored directly here. First, there will be a safe getting created for it, and then the logs will get stored within it. So basically, everything that you have, everything that we see here, accounts, policies, logs, recordings, config files, nothing is kept directly into the CyberArk. For each and everything, there will be folders getting created first, safes getting created first, and within those safes, the information will be stored. Okay, let's say we have three types of accounts, so we created three types of safes. This one is Windows safe. This one will be your Linux safe. And this one is going to be the database safe. And now for different admins, if Windows admin is there and he needs the access on Windows accounts, what do? Is instead of granting his access on the entire CyberArk, or instead of granting it individually on the accounts, what do? You directly grant his access on this safe, on the Windows safe. He got his access here. He will be able to use all of the Windows accounts only. Other accounts will not be accessible for him. And that is the process. That is how the things will be segregated and secured.
I have a question.
Yeah, tell me.
What if there is an user A which requires access of Windows safe Windows machine 1 and database machine 1? Okay. So in that case, do we need to provide access for Windows safe and database safe?
Mm,
Because that's not the right one, right? Because he's trying to access only the Windows server 1 and database server 1, not the database 2 and 3 and Windows account 1, 2 or 3.
yes. So what happens that let's say you have a case where there is a user and he needs access on individual accounts for from different safes. So now because everything is in a system, everything is segregated, what you can do is you can go to the Windows safe. Here you can search for Windows account. You will be allowing this user to access only this Windows account. That can be done. This is possible. Account level access can be granted. We'll even do it in the labs. So you come here, you grant his access on this account, and you come here, you grant his access on this database one account. Okay, but let's say you are not segregating it, you are just putting the things here. In that case, just think of searching for the accounts in 10,000 of accounts list. That's why everything is segregated like this. You have the proper address that this account is placed here. So if a user needs an access to one particular account, you go to that safe and you search for it there.
Got it.
Is there any feature where you can search for an account across all the safes?
Yes, of course, you can do that. But membership is something that's always granted on the safes level. If you're searching for an individual account, you can do that. Searching is possible. But if you're trying to add a user to access a safe, in that case, you have to search for that safe and you have to grant the access over here.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, will it be possible from tomorrow to start 10 minutes earlier? Because what happens that at 9 I have another session, so I have to end it before 9. Okay, so if we start 10 minutes earlier as well, things will work.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, one thing you guys can do is you can share your contact details. I will be creating a WhatsApp group for you, and whatever you doubts you get after the sessions, you can share it there.
Sure.
Yeah, please drop it.
I think Suhaina, I think she has the number. Probably she can share all our numbers.
Okay. All right. Okay, I'll get your numbers from the team in that case.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a
Thank
nice
you.
day.
Bye.